This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Sean Preston.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today, we have a lovely neighbor on with us, and that is Maguire Boucher of the Hound Lounge. How are you, my dear?
I am good, Sean. Thank you so much for having me. How are you today?
Really cool. Immediately recognize, since we're on video for those who are, that you are a young person in business, a young business owner, which gets me excited because I've always been the youngest person in the room. Today I'm not. I'm going to relish in that. Some people would look at that the other way, but it's definitely nice to see being a business owner, seeing young people come in and own their own business. It's going to be a phenomenal conversation because I can't wait to ask you a bunch of questions.
I'm very excited.
So tell me a little bit about this picture behind you. For those who are listening on audio, they can't see it, but it's a beautiful picture with some wolves in a forest. It looks like it's around the fall time. Any history behind that picture? Is it just one of those random pictures up in the office?
It's one of a series that we have that my parents had worked towards getting. So we've got kind of all the seasons up. We have always had dogs, and dogs have always been our focus, and that includes our decor as well. So we've got the fall, we have winter, summer, and spring, and it's all just different, like wolves out in the wild. I think they're really beautiful. I love them.
No, 100%. Wolves are the cat's pajamas. Majestic creatures, a lot of lore and history behind who they are and spirits within our native community in Canada as well too. Some pretty cool stuff. So without further ado, I know people are probably chomping at the bit. So let's dive right into it. And why don't you tell us a little bit about your business?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the Hound Lounge is a dog daycare center. Owners can add on some fun services like a nail trim or birthday party, but we do specialize in the daycare side of things. We are a family run and operated business. So my mom is actually the founder, and post-COVID, I've taken the reins a little bit more. We are structured a little bit differently than some other daycare facilities in the area in that we only charge based on an hourly rate. The hourly rate is prorated, so it's actually super accurate. In comparison, other facilities offer a half or a full day rate that owners pay the same, regardless if the dog is there for less than that predetermined half or full day. We are an indoor and outdoor facility, so dogs get to enjoy balanced play inside and outside, where we can also practice some potty training. Outside time, we think is just so essential for a dog's mental well-being. So for us, when we were looking for a location, this was a must. It needed to have an outside space. We also get to have a lot of fun out there, especially in the summer. We have some pool parties going on. So today was our very first pool party of the summer. So it's a very exciting day for us today. All of our handlers, too, are professionally trained. They make sure that play stays safe and fun. And all of our dogs that attend undergo an assessment before joining daycare, just to make sure that they'll thrive in that group environment. So we just love safety and fun environment.
Yeah, definitely safety is an important component to it, because dogs will play and they can be rough and aggressive sometimes. With how
what
they
happens
play.
When you use your teeth to play.
Yeah, totally. I've got a 3-year-old Australian Shepherd. His name is Jax.
Oh, sweet.
And we have a 5-year-old Chihuahua, and his name is Rambo. So before I met my significant other, I was bringing him to daycare 3 times a week, 4 times a week. That's a little bit easier than him just kind of chilling at home. And then my parents would take him on the off days to make sure he's not sitting at home while I'm out there helping people and doing what we do every day. So it's, I know a little bit about this stuff, and the hourly rate is super attractive to me. The half day, or there'd be some days where I can't be flexible as the customer because, it's a half day and then I had a meeting that ran a little bit longer. So, then you go up to the full day rate and you're only 35 minutes later, and it just puts a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth.
Yeah, it can be hard to juggle your personal life and work life and then your dog's life on top of all of that. You can't predict how one day is going to go, so it can be really hard to pre-plan sometimes for that. So, um, being a family business, we learned a lot throughout the years. So we were originally had the half and full day pricing because that's what everybody did. And we just felt it wasn't fair. So post COVID, we had made that change into an hourly rate. It's been great for us and for our clients. We've heard really great feedback from it. So we're really happy that we decided to say, hey, something's not right. This doesn't seem fair. Let's change it. Let's do something different than the other places do.
And the outdoor space, that's a super important component, like you were mentioning. And I kind of want to wrap this up in a big bow because I do understand it. I try to help build some value for those who are listening. The doggy daycare is such an important thing. Everybody got pets in COVID, and there is a lot of people who still leave their pets at home and they just sit there all day because we're busy, we're doing what we're doing, and we don't really think, right? So the importance of having that indoor space and that outdoor space, but for a dog to also go, because they also get socializing, which is an important component. If they're at home, they're not, especially if they don't have another dog with them.
Absolutely. It's great for that socialization as an outlet to get rid of some pent up energy throughout the day. Because I know when we get home from work, we're all really tired. So then dreading that afternoon or evening walk that is very much needed for them. So the daycare side of it can just make it a little bit easier as well, because they've also had a really busy day. So they'll be ready to curl up, eat some dinner with you, and have a nap too.
Yeah, totally. I just had mine race down the stairs. I hope nobody heard that because they heard a door close. And then I'm like, you better not be barking. I'm in the middle of a podcast.
That's okay. We're all dog friendly here.
Yeah, I guess if there's any show that's going to be appropriate to have dogs bark, it'll probably be this one.
Absolutely.
So I'm curious to ask you, tell me about your journey. Everybody's got a bit of a different path on how they get in to lead into doing what they do. And you being as young as you are, what was your path like? Have you always been an animal person? Was it something that came out of left center field, or because your mom always had the business, were you involved in it when you were really young? Tell us your journey.
Yeah. So growing up, I've always been surrounded by dogs and business as well. So to give you a little bit of my backstory, my parents ran their own companies for as long as I can remember. My mom had a successful company in raising and showing Shiloh shepherds in the early to mid 2000s. So from a young age, I was just surrounded by dogs. One of our beautiful shepherds, she was a Canadian, American, and international champion. So that
Wow.
was my whole life growing up, was just surrounded around dogs and learning how to raise them, how to care for them properly. And in all of those years, I learned so much about them. I've done a bit of further education in dog behavior as well. Just being around dogs is where I feel most comfortable. So my mom, she returned to college as a mature student, and she first went into vet tech, but felt it was a little too sciencey, not quite as hands-on with the animals as she would have liked. So she switched gears quite a lot and then switched over to a business program instead. Again, they had had businesses for a very long time, so this was also something she was comfortable with. She really wanted to try to combine her passions of dogs and business, and came up with the idea of opening a dog daycare facility. And that came into fruition in 2015. So, as I'm sure you can see, I've grown up having the privilege of seeing my parents in business. I found that in addition to just loving being around dogs, the advertising and marketing side of business was really interesting for me. So, I went to Georgian College as well, following along in my mom's footsteps, and I took the advertising and marketing communications program. Yeah, it's an awesome program. I learned a lot. I really, really loved it. And throughout all of my high school and college education, I was still working at the Hound Lounge. I was helping my mom even before opening day to get it ready, but really the whole family helped out. It took a village to get this business off the ground. So I felt like I really grew up at the Hound Lounge, and I couldn't think of pursuing anything different after college. I knew the whole time I was attending Georgian College that my path was straight into taking over the Hound Lounge eventually one day. So I've really loved in the last couple of years being able to take the reins a little bit more and learn a lot about the business side of things. And I'm also just super excited to see what the future of the Hound Lounge holds for me as well too. I'm just getting started and I am ready to see where it takes me.
Very cool story. That led me to ask you, a part of that process, do you guys also do boarding or just the daycare?
We don't do boarding anymore. So we started off by trying to do a whole lot of things. So we had done the daycare, the boarding, the training, the grooming, and it didn't go quite the direction we thought that it would go, especially thanks to COVID. It changed a lot. So we restructured the business and we decided that we want to just focus on doing one thing really well. And we chose daycare to be that thing. That was what the passion project was to start off with when my mom first opened, was the daycare side of things. So we decided to take that and just run with that and do it really, really well.
Where are you guys located?
We are in the south end of Barrie. So it is just off of Welham, if you know where that is. So kind of by the Sadlin Arena, in between Big Bay Point and Mapleview. So exact location, it's 80 Ellis Drive.
Okay, very
Yeah.
cool. Love the story, really cool. Excited for you as well too, to see what the future holds. You took what we do for a living, you went to school for that. So I could have that conversation all day, but we'll save that for another time. Are there any myths or misconceptions when it comes to doggy daycare that you hear from customers?
I would say so. I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that all we do is play with puppies all day, and that is definitely a part of it. We do play with puppies a lot, but we're actually there to help teach and guide them in how to be successful in the social setting. So we hear all the time that people are really unsure about socializing their young puppies. So those dogs say under 7 months of age. So I know it can be really scary. People don't want anything to happen to their puppy that could be detrimental to their upbringing. But this time is really important for their social skills. They learn a lot in a short amount of time. So it's really crucial to get them comfortable, not just around other dogs, but also just in new environments. So bringing them to a daycare setting gets them into a whole new environment, meeting new people with new dogs. There's lots for them to learn. At this stage, they haven't picked up any bad habits yet either. So you can instill these proper social skills much easier than you could with an adolescent dog that has no social skills. But I also usually urge people to be cautious in over socializing their dog as well too. It's a very fine balance. Most people think socializing their dog would mean that they should greet or be greeted by every person or dog that they see. But this can also lead to a reactive dog. So if you allow these constant interactions every time your dog is out, it starts to build this expectation, the expectation that your dog is to interact every time they see another dog or a person. And most dogs don't really want to interact every time. I'm sure when you're walking down the street, you don't want to have to say hi and have a conversation with every single person you pass. It can get a bit overwhelming for that. And the dogs are the same. So if they are expecting this interaction, they can react usually by barking to say, hey, give me space. And they can learn that that works, which can then create this reactivity because they just don't want to have to say hi every time. So, what I try to tell people to do instead is just be selective and a bit picky with who they greet on walks. Allow daycare to be their space to fully let loose. They'll know what the expectation is at daycare, and keeping them on that regular schedule. As you said, you had your dog in 3 days a week, which is really awesome to keep them on that same schedule so they know the expectation and what is expected of them. So for new dog owners, let your dog interact with other dogs. It does not need to be every time. And I really recommend getting them started in a social setting as soon as they can. Obviously, you don't want to do it too young before they're vaccinated, as they could just be at higher risk for those contagious diseases out there. So usually after 3 months of age is a good time to get started.
Yeah, definitely important. I got a laundry list from my breeder of stuff that they recommended that we do. I was poking my dog with the back end of a pen. I was pulling on his ears. I was clipping his nails. I was doing all kinds of stuff, bringing him for car rides. It's super important for a young puppy to go through all of those stuff, and then you can avoid a lot as they grow up later down in life, right? And the socializing is such a crucial component, like to your point of what you're saying, and then making sure you're not overdoing it. I love how you put that. You wouldn't want to meet every single person on your walk when you're going to walk. So why are you doing that to your dog? Great point.
Yeah. So just allowing them to maybe have a few dogs that they say hello to, or teaching them the cues of a social walk versus a walking walk, to just walk and get that energy out, so that they can kind of know the difference. They're very routine oriented, and keeping them on that schedule so they don't have any unexpected interactions is really important for them.
100%. So when you're not working on your business or in your business and teaching puppies, playing with them as well, but when you're not at work, what do you like to do for fun?
Yeah, so I really love being outside. I love traveling, camping, hiking, just enjoying nature. So I'm actually leaving this weekend for a week-long camping trip up at Sleeping Giant by Thunder Bay. So it's a bit of a road trip and camping. We have this like epic hike planned so we can see the full like Sleeping Giant outline of the mountains there, and just like a whole bunch more camping to look forward to this summer as well.
Yeah, I've seen the Sleeping Giant myself. It's a pretty cool sight, a marvel, really.
I'm excited. This will be my first time. I'm going with my brother. He's been once before, just passing through quickly though. So we're excited to actually spend some time there and see the sights. Probably going to some amethyst mines as well. So that's very exciting.
You like rocks?
I do. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm excited to, spend more time outside, get digging in the dirt, try to find some of these pretty looking rocks.
There's some people that'll listen to that and be like, oh my God, she's a rock nerd. I'm dating a rock nerd. So I completely get you. I can't go anywhere without her picking up rocks. It's a thing. I've gotten used to it now. I've got rocks in my office. I have rocks right over behind me. You can see right there. They're all over the house. And every time we go somewhere, she's always pulling up, and I'm starting to get to know them and their meaning and all of that stuff. So you were saying amethyst, I actually know a lot of that stuff. So that's pretty cool.
I'm not too good at that part of it. I know when they look pretty, but my brother's girlfriend, I think she's very excited. She could identify like every single like rock or gem that you put in front of her. She's like a whiz with that. So I think she's very excited for this, and I'm just very excited for her too.
Yeah, some rocks have healing properties. Other represents good luck for money and stuff like that. It's pretty cool how they all have like their own symbols and their own little meanings behind all of them.
There's so much to learn about it.
So what kind of camping are you doing when you get out there? You roughing it, backpacking? You bring in campers, or what does that look like?
So we're doing a little bit of a mix between tent camping and cabin camping as well. So a couple nights just in a tent, but Sleeping Giant also has some roofed accommodation. So it's like a little ranger's cabin while we're out there, so that we can have like a fridge and some other like little basic amenities since we're going for a bit longer. We weren't sure how we were going to navigate the cooler situation, so we are happy we were able to find this ranger's cabin, and it's right in the provincial park too. So happy to be able to find that, have an actual bed to sleep in for the week. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
very nice. I just came back a couple weeks ago. We all went up to Julie's parents have been camping on Crown land on the same spot for like 25 years.
Wow.
It's about an hour and a half north of Sudbury. So door to door, you're about 5.5 hours by the time you actually get to the campsite. And then everybody else, they bring up campers except for us. We tented it, but we've got our way to make it bougie. And then do some fishing and stuff like that. The black flies were absolute mad on the last day, right when we were packing up to leave. I think I ate about 40 of them just from breathing.
I bet. Yeah, we were in Algonquin for the May long weekend for some hiking, and same thing. The bugs were out.
Yeah, they were out, but a great way to get into nature. Great way to disconnect. We live busy lives, and we're always attached to our phones and our digital devices and stuff like that, and to reconnect with nature, not have to think about all the stuff we do in the day-to-day. It's a great way to kind of ground yourself and reset, get back at you. I was so much more recharged when I came out of that camping trip, for how rough camping sometimes can be with how much work you have to do, right?
It feels like the best way to truly just disconnect from everything else, and like you said, just get recentered and come back feeling refreshed. Even though it may not be your typical relaxing vacation, you come back just feeling so much more refreshed than before.
Yeah, totally. So in life, we put ourselves on these paths, a path that we think is good for us based off our goals, based off of a lot of different things. And in life, we sometimes don't get to pick and choose how it wants to run its course, and life will throw things at us. It'll give us mountains and obstacles and hurdles to overcome. We experience these hardships and these life challenges. And what's always fascinating to me, I mentioned this a lot on the show, is that humans have this really crazy cool ability to be able to overcome a lot of these challenges that we experience in life, and hanging on to silver linings, hanging on to hope, and then continuously pushing the boundaries to keep moving forward. And so I wanted to ask you if you've ever experienced a hardship, a life challenge in your life that you overcame. Maybe it made you better, maybe it made you stronger, maybe some silver linings from it.
Yeah, I'm going to put it a little bit more back onto the business and something that we saw, because that really is a big part of my life, especially with it being a family business. It was a big part of my whole family's life. And as I'm sure that most people and businesses felt, COVID was really, really hard. I was just getting through college, so I actually didn't even get to have a graduation. My graduating year was during COVID, right in the middle of the lockdown. Yeah, so I unfortunately missed out on that experience due to COVID. But then I was about to start taking on more responsibility with the business as well, and the whole world shut down. So I was in a bit of limbo of, I've just graduated college, even though it doesn't feel like I had, and I was supposed to start taking on more responsibility in the business, and we weren't sure what was going to happen next. I remember having a meeting with my mom, and we were just sitting around her kitchen table and had to try to figure out the answer to the awful question of, can the Hound Lounge even survive this? And we really, really weren't sure. We knew for sure, the only thing that was for sure, that the business wouldn't survive doing the same thing we were doing before. The whole world changed, and we needed to change the business with it as well. So we made some serious changes. We downsized our space. We went from being about 8,000 square feet to being 4,000 square feet. So we cut that in half. And then we had to make the tough decision to discontinue our overnight boarding services. So this was where we made that tough decision. It was slow start for boarding anyways. And this was just another indication that, we need to cut our losses on this one. We no longer had the space for it anyways. And we really weren't sure if people were ever going to get back to traveling again. If you think back to when we were first in that lockdown, we weren't sure when that was going to end. And if it did end, what was the world going to look like? Were we ever going to start traveling again? So we stopped the boarding services as well and had to make changes to the facility to accommodate for this as well. So we pulled out all the boarding kennels. We took down walls to create more space for daycare. But we still weren't sure if that was enough. So we also implemented our new price scale, so the hourly pricing. We knew that everybody was really struggling economically, and that's where we decided, let's make this change in our pricing to be a bit more fair to everybody. So people can predetermine the budget that fits their needs rather than us dictating what they have to pay, that this is a set price of a half day and a set price of a full day. People could choose how much time works for you and just bring your dog for that. You just pay for the time they're there for. And we've continued to stick with that. We think it's ultimately just the most fair way to price out our services. But after doing all of that, we still weren't sure if it was enough. My mom was pretty close to giving up. She wanted to try her best, but it's really scary when you hear of all of these businesses around you shutting down. But I was just getting my foot in the door and I really wanted to fight for it. So I asked her, can you just give me 1 year? If after 1 year, it hasn't gone back to what it was, we'll stop. We can stop then. But we're 4 years out now. We saw so much support from the community, from our clients, from our family. It was slow to get back, but we did it. And we can now confidently say that our business survived COVID. We survived COVID and we were able to make it to the other side. And that was something we weren't sure at the beginning if that would happen. So I'm so excited to, again, continue to see where the Hound Lounge might go from here.
Really exciting. Tough. You never want to see people go through that, but elegant, lovely story nonetheless. Especially happy endings are always a great ending to any story. So really, really glad to see that you guys made it out. You have a really unique story to tell. And like you mentioned, not a lot of businesses survived.
Yeah.
A lot of businesses didn't survive, and the ones that made it through, all of us are fortunate. I lost mine at 9 years of doing what I did, and that business isn't even around anymore. So I kind of know a little bit about what the struggles are like and what people went through from that perspective.
Yeah, it's beyond hard. It's not something any of us could have prepared for. When you open a business, you think about all of those what ifs and you make these plans. Nobody would have thought that there'd be a global pandemic. That was not something you could have prepared for personally or professionally. It was super hard.
Well, you're certainly ahead of your years. What's your mom's name?
My mom is Charlene. She's absolutely wonderful. She acts as an advisor for me, not even just business, but in my personal life, she's been my rock through everything, and I couldn't be more thankful for her.
Well, it definitely emulates with how you carry yourself. So go, Charlene. Nice job. What's one thing that you wish our listeners knew about your business?
I just want people to know that the Hound Lounge is so much more than just a business. Every dog that walks through those doors becomes a part of our family. We have seen some of these dogs literally grow up. and we create such a strong bond with these dogs, we would do anything for them. So I want people to know that if for whatever reason you have to stop bringing your dog to daycare, to just let us know. You don't have to tell us why, but it just helps ease our minds knowing that these dogs are still okay. We think about them all the time, even when we're not at work. So knowing why maybe we're not seeing a dog anymore, or just that we won't be seeing them for whatever reason, just helps us feel better in knowing that they are still okay. On a similar note, knowing that if a dog does not pass the assessment that we do, or if we do have to reevaluate their attendance moving forward, that it has nothing to do with if the dog is good or bad. Daycare is just not always for every dog, and that's okay. I did not bring my own dog into daycare when he was still with me. It was not for him. He was not a social guy. So it can just be a bit too overwhelming or too overstimulating for some dogs, and that's okay. But people can always trust that we will be transparent and let you know how they're actually doing. So we're not going to be that place that says, oh yeah, they're loving it, and take your money if they're not actually loving it. We will let you know truly if we think that daycare is a good fit for them or not. And if it's not, that's okay too. There's lots of other options out there for socializing, or like me, you might have a dog that's just not so social. He loved his small circle of people, and his sister that we had as well. And that was it for him. That's all he needed to be content. But the best way to know if your dog will thrive is to just give it a shot. Our assessment is free of charge. It's only an hour long, so it's really low risk, and we can let you know what we think, if we have any suggestions moving forward, if it'll be a great fit right away, and just help you along in that path of guiding you into doing what's best for your dog and their enrichment throughout their lives.
Always nice to have a professional take a look at something for you, especially when it's for free. Definitely urge those listening on the show to take advantage of that. And for those who are interested, what is the best way that they can get a hold of you ladies?
Absolutely. So I definitely recommend heading over to our website. It's www.hound-lounge.ca. We have all of our information there and a link to our application that can be filled out for daycare. We do ask for this to be filled out ahead of time, offers us some information before we meet your dog as well. But you can also email us directly at info@hound-lounge.ca, or give us a call as well. We are on Google. So if you search Hound Lounge Barrie, you will find us. I really recommend, though, even if you don't have a dog, check out our social media pages, because who doesn't like looking at dog stuff? So you can find us on Instagram at Hound Lounge Barrie, all one word, or Facebook the same, The Hound Lounge. We post pictures, videos of them all day long on our stories, just having a whole bunch of fun. So you will see footage today if you check it out from our pirate pool party. Who doesn't love to watch dogs dressed up as pirates having fun in a pool?
Yeah, very, very cool. Awesome conversation. Great business. Thank you so much for coming on the show and doing this.
Thank you, Sean. And I want to quickly shout out Dr. Virginia Cornell from Aldergrove Animal Clinic as well. She was one that recommended me to do this with you. So thank you, Virginia. I know you know her very well. She's a terrific woman. And this was a really great experience. I had a ton of fun.
Yeah, definitely. She is the best. And I am jealous of how well she tans. So when she
Me too.
She's going to get a big kick on that. And we love her and we love our animals. So thank you very much again.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Midhurst. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpmidhurst.com. That's gnpmidhurst.com, or call 705-413-3775.